Now on CoastTV News.
Helping homeless in the cold, how local organizations are stepping up to provide a warm and safe space during the snow.
Pipes in the cold, how to prevent a freezing catastrophe ahead of these bitter temperatures.
Emergency Operations Center opened. Who will fill this room when the storm hits?
And cold weather closing in on the coast, the health dangers to look out for.
A last-minute deviation of the storm has changed the numbers and concern for more ice and sleet.
This is CoastTV News at 5.
A live look into Dover, where a mixture of snow and ice is expected this weekend. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf.
And I'm Charlie Sakaitis. We begin tonight with the winter storm hitting Delmarva.
We have comprehensive coverage tonight on preparations of the storm.
But first, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams on the expected totals.
We've had a last-minute deviation in the storm and that we've adjusted the numbers. Now we're at 4 to 7 inches of likely snow, where you see the purple indicating Highway 13 as well as 9. And this ice is a new aspect of this storm. More on that coming up.
As we continue to prepare for the snowstorm expected for this weekend, local organizations are doing the same to make sure that homeless people have a warm and safe place to be. Coast TV News reporter Ana Sofia Roman shows us how efforts are taking shape.
Loading bags of blankets into a van, getting ready to help those without a safe place stay warm. Higher Ground Outreach says they will have an emergency shelter at God's Way Ministries in Milton for 40 people in need. Luis Hernandez, director and co-founder of Higher Ground Outreach, says other organizations have also stepped up to help.
I myself will be patrolling this area during the storm, just in case the police or somebody come into contact with someone that needs to go to one of the shelters or our shelter. We'll be ready to transport them and bring them there.
Michael Elliott, who has been living in a tent in Georgetown for almost a year, is grateful to sleep in a warm and safe space for the upcoming nights.
It means a lot to not only me, but everybody else, I'm sure. If it wasn't for Lou and April helping as much as they help, a lot of us would be stuck in the mud, basically.
Hernandez says Higher Ground Outreach will start transporting people Saturday. He's preparing to be at the emergency shelter for 3 days.
It all depends on weather conditions. We're going to monitor it just like everybody else does, and make sure that the conditions are feasible for them to be able to, exit safely.
If space runs out at the church, this place right here, the Community Navigation Center at the Pallet Village, will serve as overflow. In Georgetown, Ana Sofia Roman, Coast TV News.
Code Purple at the Cape tells Coast TV if the governor declares a state of emergency, shelters in Lewis and Rehoboth Beach could also open during the daytime. And this just in, they do have 14 open spots, they said, over the weekend there. Loving of Mid-Delmarva, which has Code Purple shelters in Georgetown, Seaford, Bethany, and Milford, says it is contacting church partners to see if they can host homeless individuals outside of those regular Code Purple hours.
And if you can't make it to those shelters, one will be opening tomorrow, Saturday, January 24th at 6 p.m. in Salisbury at James M. Bennett High School. They say you're going to need to bring your own food, beverages, medication. Pets will be picked up from the shelter by animal control and taken to another location. The shelter will remain open through Monday, January 26th.
With this cold, a lot of people are worried about frozen pipes, especially if you're in an older home. Coast TV News reporter Emma Aiken live in Milton. And Emma, you spoke with a plumber about how to prevent this expensive catastrophe.
Maddie, we spoke with Service Today Plumbing, who helped us separate some fact versus fiction when it comes to winter weather like this. We know freezing pipes can cause a lot of anxiety, and there's certainly a real possibility when freezing temperatures come. So Service Today says when those temperatures do drop below freezing, here's one thing you can do to prevent it. Simply turn on your water like this. It doesn't matter what temperature, it can be cold. The key, though, is to keep a steady stream of water running. Service Today says they don't recommend the drip method because that can actually lead to cracking your drain pipe. Service Today says it's very important to have a plan in place to know where your shutoff valve is. Even if your pipes do freeze, you should still turn off the water until you get help from a plumber. Also, knowing where your breaker box is in case you need to do some shut-offs there in case of active water in your house. Plus, Service Today says homeowners should try to make sure some of those lesser used rooms and spaces in the home have heat flowing to them.
We recommend that people, if they do have a laundry room in the garage, to put a space heater in there or some type of supplemental heat. Same thing with crawl spaces. You know, if crawl spaces tend to freeze, if they're not sealed properly, you might want to put another space heater down there to keep the pipes from freezing underneath.
Here's another thing you might not think about. Service Today says you can also do this. Open the cabinets in your home. That helps heat flow through, especially under sinks to help the heat get to the faucet. Another thing to prevent those pipes from freezing. Reporting live here in Milton, Emma Aiken, Coast TV News.
You're looking inside the Sussex County Emergency Operations Center in Georgetown. The EOC gets activated for winter storms like this weekend to make communication easier for agencies like DelDOT, local fire departments, even the National Guard. Coast TV News reporter Brandon Ferguson is live in Georgetown. Brandon, DelDOT is prepping the roads as the EOC is getting prepared.
Charlie, this is the entrance to DelDOT's Gravel Hill Road Yard. In the distance, you might be able to see some plows, some bulldozers, and even some of those bigger barns that hold salt. But also on site that you don't see are thousands of gallons of brine. Now, brine is a mix between salt and water, and it's used to treat roads before winter storms like the one we are anticipating this weekend. And if you look on Route 9, you're not going to see those distinctive white lines that you might have saw earlier traveling this road. But a good example is just the entrance of this yard here. Look at the different color. You see the lighter color. That is the brine trucks leaving this yard here, and across the entire first state, DelDOT has 50,000 tons of salt ready to go this weekend. And when it comes to the brine trucks, the smaller trucks hold 1,000 gallons, and the biggest tanks DelDOT has hold 6,000 gallons of brine. And as the roads are ready, all hands are on deck this weekend as well at Sussex County's Emergency Operations Center.
We're going to ask our DelDOT partners to come in, the National Guard partners to come in, Red Cross. We have seats here for the power companies, Delaware Electric Co-op, as well as Delmarva Power, EMS. So each of those organizations will have representation or can have representation here in the facilities.
As with every major storm, DelDOT salts, brines, and plows primary roads. Now, they describe primary roads as roads like Coastal Highway and Route 113. And when they say those are ready, then they move to secondary roads like Route 9 here in Georgetown and Route 24. Live in Georgetown, Brandon Ferguson, Coast TV News.
It's not just snow and ice to worry about. Another big concern actually is frostbite.
Coast TV News reporter Drew Bellinger shows us the ins and the outs of recognizing the freezing injury.
As cold weather prepares to roll through town, fear of frostbite rises.
Really frigid temperatures that put people more at risk.
Bay Health officials say untreated frostbite can have permanent effects.
If you actually start feeling tingling, things like numbness, if you look down at your fingers or you feel on your nose that might be kind of a whitish color, that's the time to get inside and get dry.
Dr. Fink mentioned that smokers or those with circulatory diseases are certainly at risk, and with bad enough conditions, frostbite can set in on exposed skin in just minutes. Dr. Fink tells me that while the symptoms will feel the same for everybody, the way it appears will differ depending on your skin tone and complexion.
Timelines would be the same depending on skin color and skin type. Obviously, with the darker complexion somebody has, the more difficult it might be to see redness or paleness. But that's where the feel comes in, that numbness, that tingling. Sometimes the skin can develop a leathery feel to it or a lack of sensation. Those are big warning signs. Definitely kind of get out of the cold at that point.
Fink says staying dry is crucial, as dried sweat from exerting yourself while clearing snow off cars can also pose a risk.
It is scary.
Jenna LaCruz, who opened up a coffee shop after moving from California, says she'll have to adjust.
I leave early, so I'm out super early, and I went out to the car and I had to scrape my windshield off, and it was more ice than snow. And it's interesting, my fingers were already tingling by the time I got back in. So knowing that it's going to be even lower and I have to come out super early, that is a concern.
With cold winter weather on the way, protect those fingers and toes so that a bad few days don't lead to a more permanent problem. In Millsboro, Drew Bellinger, Coast TV News.
This brings us into our Coast TV poll. We want to know what part of this storm worries you the most.
Let's take a look at the results so far. 70% say the ice and the sleet. 17% say heavy snow, and 13% say that dangerous cold.
We have a comment from Robert in Lewis. Ice and sleet is basically an ice storm that weighs more pressure on the utility lines as well as tree branches and limbs. It's this weather condition that leads to power outages.
And that's certainly a concern, those power outages as well. If you haven't voted yet or left us a comment, we'd love to hear from you. CoastTV.com or our mobile app.
And be sure to download the Coast TV app for your phone, for your tablet ahead of this weekend's storms. Also, in case you didn't know, you can get the Coast TV streaming app for your TV with devices like Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV. We will stream weather updates throughout the weekend, including a special winter storm coverage newscast from our sister station, WBOC. That's on Sunday morning starting at 8.
As we take a live look outside into Laura, we'll check in again with our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams.
We've detected a very subtle shift in the path of the storm that's prompted us to update the numbers. Now, 4 to 7 inches of snow for folks along Highway 13 with a more increased chance and concern for ice here. Now, for the coast and the beaches, we're going with 3 to 6 with a mix likely to occur. And then well to our north up towards, let's say, the Newcastle area, we've been downgrading to about 9 inches of snow there. Let me show you why. This is Sunday at 6 o'clock in the morning, Seaford, Georgetown, and Ellendale. We're all the way in deep snow by 10:30, but then we change up. As you go into, let's say, for the beaches, we're looking at that changing over to possibly 5.9 inches of snow for Selbyville, but then it's going to change over quickly for us as we go into the mid-morning afternoon hours. In other words, that timeline's gone from the afternoon to about mid-morning for a changeover from snow to ice.
Construction has begun on the new pavilion in Harrington. We'll talk location.
But first, even in the snow, there are a few cool things to do. We break them down for you up next.
This is Coast TV News at 5.
A lot of events planned for this weekend are being put on hold thanks to the forecast.
But as Christina DiRoberta shows us, that doesn't mean you have to sit inside and wait for the snow to stop to have a little fun.
So everything I was going to tell you about for cool things this week is now canceled because if you don't know by now, it's going to snow this weekend. So I decided to compile a list of cool things to do in the snow.
First up, build a snowman. It's a classic snow activity. You probably have everything you need already, some buttons, a carrot, a hat, a scarf, and you don't have to build a giant snowman, just build a little one. Another classic, snow angels. You can also have a friendly snowball fight. Or not friendly, that's up to you. And there's not too many hills here in southern Delaware, but if you find one, you can go sledding. Or you can build an igloo if you're feeling ambitious. It's time-consuming, it's hard work, but everyone will think it's super cool. And if you need any advice, just email Charlie Sakaitis. Rumor has it he once lived in an igloo in Alaska. If you're young and able, shovel your neighbor's driveway. Or watch Coast TV because we'll be out in the snow all weekend.
So if you get bored this weekend and you need a refresher, you can find this list over on CoastTV.com under Cool Things to Do.
A very subtle change in the path of the storm has now prompted us to update the numbers. We're looking at more concern for ice and 4 to 7 inches of snow along Highway 113, and then 3 to 6 with a more concentration of mix from Ocean Pines, Ocean View, and all of the beach cities. Now, we're also updating it as you travel farther north up towards Dover and north of that. Now we've downgraded that down to about 9 inches of snow expected because of the mixing that's going to happen. Our viewer, I believe Sylvia is her name, she called in and let us know, or wrote in and said, the way she delineates between watch and warnings, yesterday we're under a watch, which is watch me make dinner. However, we're under a warning now, which is warning, dinner is on the table. That's where we are right now. We're being served up a winter storm warning that stays in effect for Saturday going into Sunday and Monday. And this comes with the caveat of problems. Saturday, we're looking at the storm warning staying in effect, goes into late Saturday night. Snow kicks in late Saturday going into Sunday morning. Sunday in the early morning hours, as early as midnight, going into the rest of Sunday morning, that's when the heavy snow will kick in, 1 to 2 inches. We initially thought that snow would stick around until noon or even in the afternoon. Because of that subtle change in the path of the storm, no longer the case. Now it's going to change over quickly. Now, first of all, Saturday we set up with cold conditions initially. This sets the stage for the storm. Sunday will stay cold as well. Now, we'll even stay cold going into next week, which will become problematic there. Right now in Ocean View, we're at 43 degrees, so this is still the calm before the storm hits. But notice how we drop precipitously for at 9 o'clock with increasing cloud cover down to 30. So we take a look at our futurecast, and you'll notice Saturday in the afternoon, we're looking cloudy, but then here comes the snow initially by Saturday, 9 o'clock over Ocean City initially. And then we have overall snow that's covering the entire area going into Sunday. And then you see how that pink and green overtakes the region? That comes in a little bit earlier than scheduled. You see the low shifted ever so slightly closer to us. So that brings in more possibility of ice and a mix that's happening in the southern portion of our viewing area. So we break this down in great detail. First of all, we talk about the precipitation. Follow the deeper purple for us along Highway 13 by 11 o'clock. Then by Sunday early in the morning, and you see we're still in the midst of the purple until we get to like 6:30. But then by 12 noon, we go from the possibility of sleet to straight rain by lunchtime. Now, that's an interesting caveat. And then we take a look at our future snow and the totals. 1 o'clock in the morning, we're looking at about 1 inch of snow. Then it goes up to 4.8, almost 5 by 6 o'clock, peaking out at about 7.5 by noon. Georgetown, Ellendale, 7, right around that range. Now we take a look at the beaches. We're looking at the snow manifesting by 11:30. Early morning hours were Sunday, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, we're still in snow. But then by 9 o'clock, all this pink representing the freezing rain and the sleet that's pushing across. And the amounts, well, they stay right around 6 to 7 inches as well. And then here comes the possibility of ice. And that's going to be the danger part, covering the northwest corner of the Delmarva Peninsula. And that's what we're watching now because of that shift in the movement. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Remember, we are keeping you updated. Download our app. You need it this weekend more than ever before.
Construction has started at the new pavilion at Harrington Parks and Rec. This is located on East Liberty Street. The Rec Center says this will be a new space for the community to come together.
Coming up tonight on Delmarva Sports Network at 6, Cape hosting Caesar Rodney in wrestling. Then catch the final score at 10:30. And coming up, Delaware bill that aims to permanently establish programs to help drivers with disabilities. What exactly the bill entails? Stay tuned on Coast TV News at 5. A new bill has been introduced to permanently establish the Blue Envelope program in Delaware to help drivers with disabilities safely communicate with police during traffic stops. The bill continues a program where drivers with disabilities carry a blue envelope in the car. The car has a driver's license, a registration, insurance, relevant medical or communication needs. The envelope also includes instructions for both the driver and law enforcement officers on how to navigate the stop safely and respectfully.
Here's a live look into Ocean View. One more check on your winter storm forecast after this.
The latest movement of the path of this storm has now prompted us to be more concerned about more widespread ice along Highway 13 north of Seaford, particularly as you travel farther north into Kent County, and the mixture of 3 to 6 along the most southern portions and around Ocean Pines. Now, up towards or north of Dover, we're expecting 9 inches of snow instead of 12. All that's because of the deviation and movement of the path of the storm. We're under an active winter storm warning, bracing for that kind of snow and that mix that we just mentioned. That's also in effect for Ocean Pines down to Pocomoke City and Girdle Tree. An interesting also warning, we now have a freeze spray advisory off the coast for Ocean City. That means any kind of moisture that comes off of the ocean is going to freeze immediately, like freezing rain. And we have gale force winds that are of great concern for us as well. We're at Milford. We're looking at 39 degrees right now. We're expecting for it to drop to 30 degrees pretty quickly. Our umbrella giveaway winner, Linda Kroger of Georgetown. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis. We're keeping you updated on our weather line as well, sponsored by Brockstedt, Mandalis, and Federico. And here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. Download our weather app.
We got it, Paul. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us here for Coast TV News at 5.
For more news, more local weather, download that Coast TV News app.
Inside Edition is up next.
And we'll see you later tonight for Coast TV News at 6. Have a great evening.